The hum of the diesel engines thrums through the cab, a steady heartbeat in the hollow night. My hands rest on the controls, steady and deliberate, the motions instinctive after years of repetition. The cab itself is a narrow sanctuary of gauges and switches, and the faint smell of oil and metal clings to the air. Above me, the dull glow of an overhead bulb fights against the encroaching darkness outside. The leather seat creaks beneath me, familiar and warm, molded to my shape over countless journeys. I never bother to find out what it is that I am hauling. The freight cars are already loaded and ready to go when I start my journeys. I just take them to where they need to be and count the hours until I begin my next journey. I operate an automatic these days. No thought to my future or the direction of my life. Outside, the darkness presses against the windshield. The beams of the train's headlamps cut tunnels of light through the gloom, slicing across dark fields, bare trees, and the occasional abandoned siding. The world feels hollow to me now. I have no thought of anything except this relentless forward motion. The photograph on the dashboard catches my eye again, my sole reminder of the life I once had. Their smiles freeze time, caught in that frame forever. My wife, Anna's image, brings memories of her dark hair spilling over her shoulders, her face alight with a laugh I can almost hear. And my son, Jack, his front teeth missing, grinning like he'd just conquered the world. I reach out and caress the photograph, tracing its familiar contours. It's an echo, a whisper of a life I can't get back. Guilt tightens in my chest like the couplings between these carriages. I was driving. I keep telling myself it wasn't my fault. The drunk driver ran the red light, swerved into our lane recklessly. But it doesn't matter. I was behind the wheel. I should have seen it coming. Should have been faster, smarter, better. My wife and son paid the price for my failure. And no matter how often I replay it, the outcome never changes. The crash, the crunch of metal, the flash of headlights, the sickening silence afterwards. The drunk driver walked away unscathed, the damage done, lives destroyed. I took this job for the nights, the solitude, the rhythmic power of the engine beneath me, the steady rumble, the tracks unfolding endlessly ahead. They are the only things that keep my mind from spiraling. It is a comfort to me, following these tracks, this predetermined route. Out here, I can almost believe I'm in control again. Ahead, the hills build around me, their black silhouettes rising and falling as I speed through. I know that the largest sits across the path of the tracks, and the mouth of a tunnel yawns wide ahead. It's a long one, almost 2 miles under the earth. I lean forward, adjusting the throttle slightly. The train roars in protest, but I'm used to coaxing it. The darkness envelops the cab as we enter, and the sound changes, becoming a deeper, resonant growl that vibrates in my chest. The train's headlamps reflect from the misty interior of the tunnel, and I'm not able to see ahead more than a few feet. Night often brings warm, damp air to the underground sections of my route, and tonight is no different. Halfway through, the power flickers, and I feel the vibration decrease through my body. The hum of the engine falters with a whine. Looking through the windshield, I see the headlights flicker. The power is draining. The train is coasting and slowing. Trying the throttle, it is unresponsive, so instead I pull the brake lever. This is mechanical, not reliant on the electrical system, so thankful it brings the train to a juddering halt with a squeal. I'll need to contact control. Let them know of the engine fault so they can close the track and send engineers. As I stop, the light above my head goes out along with the train headlights, leaving me in absolute blackness. My breath catches, sharp and shallow. I grip the controls, flipping switches in the darkness, checking gauges, desperate for a logical explanation. A blown fuse? An electrical system fault? None of it makes sense. The train's systems are supposed to have redundancies. This shouldn't be happening. I fumble for the radio, but the static screams at me, useless. The mess of rock around me causing interference. My hands tremble as I grab the flashlight from its bracket. I click it on, the beam wavering. Using the torch, I find the door handle and open it, feeling the strangely warm air flowing through the tunnel on my face. I climb down from the cab, the metal ladder slick with condensation. My boots hit the gravel ballast with a crunch. The air is damp and clings to my skin, making me feel clammy. I sweep the flashlight beam around me. The walls of the tunnel seem to close in, the jagged rock pressing down upon me. The glassy rocks reflect my torch beam, and for a moment I am blinded as the light flashes in my eyes. I need to find an emergency telephone in this tunnel. All train tunnels have landline connections every few hundred yards. But as I begin to walk in search, I hear a noise, indistinct, like the sound of whispers. Hello? My voice echoes, distorted and strange. It sounds wrong, as if the tunnel's walls are twisting it. I take a step forward, then another. The beam catches something up ahead, a shimmer, like heat haze, but feeling my sweat-drenched clothes on my skin, I shiver. The hair on my arms stands on end. When I look again, the shimmer is gone. My mind is playing tricks on me, no doubt about it. Being stuck underground, in the middle of a mountain, pitch black, in the middle of the night, would set anybody's imagination flaring. But the whispers remain, hushed hisses around me. I convince myself that it is just reverberation around the rock walls, amplified sounds from the breeze drifting through. But soon I can make out voices. I can even discern the words in their hushed tones. "We're here. Come to us," it seems to say. It sounds distorted, but I swear that sounds like Emma's voice. "Come to us, Daddy?" That one was Jack's. Ice-cold fear grips me. What is this? What is happening to me here, alone, under the earth? I freeze. I can just discern something up ahead. Light dances like fireflies, and a high-pitched wail begins to rise, just on the edge of my hearing, but growing and reverberating around the tunnel. I step back, my pulse hammering. The air grows heavier, crushing against my chest. Shadows ripple and swell, spilling out of the walls like inking water. I stagger, drop the torch. It clatters, spinning, the beam flaring wildly before dying out completely. Panic drives me forward. I'm running now, stumbling over uneven ground, and finding it increasingly hard to breathe. The walls are closing in, narrowing, pressing. Sounds surround me. Whispers, murmurs, screeches. Shapes flicker at the edges of my vision, darting in and out of the gloom. Ghostly apparitions. But when I look in their direction, they vanish. Am I being punished for my shortcomings, for not being able to protect my family? My foot catches on a track, and I fall hard, my head striking the metal rail, a gravel biting into my palms. I push myself up, gasping. A searing pain flashes through my head, and I cry out, an agonizing yelp that hurts my ears. The silhouettes are all around me now, ghostlier and insubstantial. Their faces blur and shift. One reaches out, and its touch is ice, searing and numbing at once. In horror, I try to get away, flee from these nightmares. Ahead, a pinprick of light grows. The tunnel exit, surely. Salvation. I push myself up and lurch forward, drawn to it like a moth to a flame. A light grows brighter, impossibly so, until it's searing, blinding. I stagger through it, shielding my eyes, and I open my eyes. The world is muted, soft. The sterile smell of antiseptic fills my nose. My head feels as though it would explode, and my body weighed down, sluggish. I can't move my arms or legs. I'm covered in perspiration and feel very warm. A faint beeping punctuates the stillness, along with the hiss of air conditioning. I blink, disorientated. The dim light overhead is warm, almost golden, but subdued. The walls are pale, unadorned. The photograph, Anna and Jack, is sitting on the bedside table. It's the same picture, the same frozen smiles. My breath catches. Then, a white flash hits my eyes again, before I hear a voice speak gently. "You're awake." The doctor clicks off her torch that she used to look into my eyes. My irises focus, and I see her as she stands by the bed, her expression full of concern and empathy. "You've been in an induced coma for 3 months," she says. "You were in a car accident. You've suffered brain damage and will be experiencing headaches for a while. We've turned down the lighting and the noise, but your eyes and ears will be extremely sensitive until you've recovered. I'm sorry to say, you were struck by a drunk driver." "I know," I reply. "Amma, Jack." "We're here, darling," came the reply. The words hit me like my freight train, but I struggle to turn my head, and my eyes widen as I stare at the ceiling. "You're alive!" My voice cracks, raw and disbelieving. "We are," said Anna. "We've been here every moment while you've been asleep, talking to you, letting you know what's been happening. The doctor mentioned that you will understand on some level. She said tonight that it was a good moment to bring you out of your coma." "We were calling for you, Daddy," said Jack, and my eyes blurred with tears. The tunnel, the train, the visions, fragments of a mind struggling to make sense of the silence, the darkness, trapped in a subconscious loop of grief and guilt, lost in a labyrinth of my own making. But the light wasn't an end. It was a beginning. The tunnel has opened, and for the first time in months, I can breathe. I pray this was not another trick of the mind.